Right, hello again.
Hello again.
I'm Dale. Sam.
I'm Sam. What are we going to talk about?
Talk about business experience. Yeah? Now, I've run my own business. You're running your own business. Yeah? Pitfalls, advantages, disadvantages.
I think there's pros and cons to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was I going to say? Running your own business is not easy.
No.
Yeah.
You have to be
highly organised, I would say.
And that's where we fail.
Yeah.
Definitely. My biggest failure is I can do the work, I can get the work.
It's the paperwork side.
It's the paperwork side. And that always let me down. Until my cousin who's an accountant said to me one day, look, Dale,
you're not good at this.
Yeah,
you need to get out.
She said, go and get a job. Right now, she said to me one day, she says, look, you can't just, because you know Lionel, you're the same now. As a plumber, heating and air, all my invoices with all my McDonald's wrappers were stuck on the dashboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you'd be searching for some, what do you call it, invoice or whatever, and that was my downfall. She said to me one day, so I want to fold around my house every week without fail. When I did that, that was like a headache took off my shoulders. Yeah, because someone else was taking care of that. And I think if you're gifted enough to have a business where you are quite OCD, I would say, really, OCD about your paperwork and stuff like that. Because I mean, you're just like me, right? You can do a job like you work too late and you never put your tools away nicely, right? And you just chuck them in the back of your van.
Yeah.
Then you're 2 days looking for something because you couldn't.
And then you get frustrated.
Yeah. And you get stressed because you can't find something.
And then you go out and buy another tool.
Yeah.
That's costing money.
Yeah.
So it's a knock-on effect. It's like a domino.
Yeah. So if you're a businessman and you can relate to this, I'll tell you. Now, yeah, paperwork. I didn't have a problem because word of mouth I got most of my work.
Yeah.
And you got your regular customers. Yeah.
I mean, business is always your first. I mean, business works on customers.
Yeah.
Right. If you got no customers, you got no business.
We got no business.
Right. So the first things
cash
first.
flow.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, cash flow is. I mean, if you're in a plumbing, a plumber or a heating engineer, etc., and so on, cash flow. It's fine, but you're gonna do a job changing, a boiler or whatever. They're gonna pay you there and then. Yeah. Well, depends.
Yeah, depends what your contract. Because one thing you're at fault with, and I'll tell you now as a businessman, right, is you don't do contracts, right?
No.
And you don't, and that's your biggest weakness. I'll tell you now, right? I always do a written contract. Yeah.
Where
this
you
will
get
be
50% up front.
50% up front, 25% then when I'm nearly done, and the remainder on completion. Yeah, that's how I used to work it. But also in that contract, it would state that if it overrun for a few days, whatever, through no mistake of my own, yeah, or I came across something, say we had to alter something through no fault of mine, and it would be charged for, yeah. Well, you do none of that, to be truthful, do you?
No, I kind of you trust the customer.
Yeah, but you can't. That's what I'm saying to you. And you had that experience as well, yeah? You can't trust somebody. I've had jobs where someone has been fantastic to your face, yeah? You've done a beautiful job and then you come for payment and then you got the money. I've had that. And I had one job years ago where I put a full central heating in this woman, yeah? And she said, if you come next Friday, I'll give you the cash, yeah? So, trusting, went the next one, she wasn't there. She had sold the house. So she had me put central heating for the terms, so she would sell the house. They wouldn't have it unless she put central heating in it. And when I went to collect the money, they said, no, she's gone to Australia, mate. So I lost all that money for parts and everything. I never got that money.
That is terrible.
But it happens. It happens. It does happen. That's what I'm saying. You can get the most loving, person out there, and they could be the biggest rogue. You don't know. You had it once before. I ain't going to mention it. Do you remember when that bloke wouldn't pay you?
Yeah.
Yeah? Nothing wrong with the job.
Yeah,
But
no, it happens.
that can cripple a business.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what
And I think sometimes I found that the larger companies do that to the smaller person.
Yeah, definitely, because
Yeah.
they know you ain't going to fire them.
Mm.
Because you ain't got the money to fire them.
Yeah. Or if that's a big contract,
Yeah.
they'll sort of like they'll take advantage of you,
Oh, yeah.
knowing that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I've had jobs and all where that you don't get paid for 90 days.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? 90
Yeah.
days is a long while.
It's a long time.
And it ain't no good. I think as a business, if I was advising anybody to set up a business, my first thing would be to make sure that
Don't get any advice from us.
no, for any, like a mechanic, it could be anything.
Yeah.
Make sure you have a plan before you do
Yeah.
anything. Yeah. Don't just go out there and think, well, I've had enough of this job, I'm going to set up on my own. Because you need a plan. You need capital in your bank.
You need a little bit of money aside.
You need something there, yeah. Basically, because you can have an accident at work quite easily, yeah. If you can afford it, get a sickness scheme because they're quite good, yeah. In my advice, right. But if you can, the clever way of doing it is run your business, but have people doing it for you. But then the problem you got
again
is
it's capital.
finding capital. Because you've got to have enough money for a year to pay them for a year. Let's be honest, yeah?
I mean, you could. I mean, a lot of the time now, like you said, let's say you've got a contract, where, you're not going to get paid for 90 days.
Yeah.
But the people working for you
want paid weekly.
Want paid weekly or monthly, depending on your agreement. Yeah. And, that's 3 months
before
worth of wages that you're going to have to end up paying out of your own pocket before you get your first instalment.
Before you even have any wages.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, I've had that before.
Yeah.
I've had to pay people before I get paid myself.
I think you've got to get into a business where you sort of like are getting money as you go along. Yeah. So there is no kind of like, stipulation where you're going to get paid in a month's time or anything like that. And I would advise anybody to get into a trade now. Yeah. Okay. Especially if you're young. Right. Yeah. With the government kind of like, introducing initiatives to sort of like say that they're going to be building, 1.5 million, new homes, etc. and so on. So, you've got a shortage of skills in the construction industry.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, robots, they're not going to be, building houses.
No.
Yeah. Okay. They're not going to be plumbing inside houses.
No.
Yeah. Okay. They're not going to be doing plastering.
No.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Probably doing better jobs than the plans.
Yeah. Right. And again, no painting and decorating.
No.
So a lot of these trades
They're never going to go.
never going to go.
No.
Yeah. For a long
A
while.
long time, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, eventually, I think they may end up going.
Well, I think eventually, it'd be like prefab sort of stuff.
Yeah.
That's what
Kit houses.
Yeah, kit.
Yeah, already done in a factory
Virtually
with
some
a
of
with a
that,
robot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'd be like an automated system. A 4-bedroom house, a 3-bedroom house, etc. and so on.
But me, like I say, if I started a fresh new business today, I'd say like out my trade, plumbing, heating, yeah, or even if I wanted to buy a lorry, whatever trade it's going to be, I would try and have enough capital to buy anything I had cash first, like my van or my lorry or whatever it's going to be. Yeah, that's paid for, done and dusted. Yeah. Tools you would have anyway because you've done. Oh, I don't know about you. My tools was all from when I was an apprentice. Yeah. Obviously, you've got to buy new drills and things like that, but you're not talking vast amounts of money there.
No.
But if you're going to have an office, you've got to make sure you're making enough money to keep the office going. Or if you're going to have a unit, make sure you've got that capital coming in to pay for that unit. Because when you've got to pay £600 per unit and you ain't earning £600, you with me? That then becomes stress, which you can do without. And I don't personally believe that unless you've got 3 or 4 plumbers working for you, I don't personally believe a one-man band needs a unit.
No, you don't.
I really don't.
You don't.
And I don't believe they need an office.
No.
You can work from home.
An office is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can afford it.
Yes.
Yeah. Everything is about
And
affordability.
I think we're all guilty of that when we start.
you go in too big.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
you-
Which is an extra cost that you don't physically need.
Yeah, your brain, it's in this motion mode where I've got to do this, got to do that. It looks good on the image or whatever. Got to get a brand new van 'cause it looks good. Do you know what? When I had my van, right, I had a fairly new van once, right? And I'll never forget it. I turned up at this woman's house to change her bathroom suite. She goes, "Oh, you must charge a lot, brand new van." And I thought, oh, do you know what I mean? But that's the way people do things.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I would say that a good, if I start now, I'll say I would make sure I had all my expenses I paid up front before I even started. I would make sure I had either a very good accountant, and I would use one of those accounting softwares like the
Zero,
books or whatever.
Intuit, QuickBooks.
Yeah, QuickBooks, because you now with that, you just scan your invoice or whatever, not invoice, sorry, your receipts, and it goes straight on there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it also gets it ready to send to the tax man.
Yeah.
Which is a godsend, isn't it? So that's the less worry. So I'd pay for that, yeah. You got your liability insurance, which I would make sure I paid for that yearly before, so the years was gone. And you wouldn't pay that monthly like you can do. So all you're doing is and one thing the bank manager told me once, which I didn't realise when I first started my business, and you'll probably felt this as well. When you first start, you're scraping for work, right? Because you ain't started long.
You've not got any clientele.
And you would take any job because, it's getting me started, right? And my bank manager one day, he said to me, "Look, Dallas," and he drew a pyramid and drew 3 lines, right? And he put in the first line, any job. In the middle line, he put earn a basic living. In the top line, he put clever, right? And I thought, what the hell is this bloke on about? And he said to me, he says, "Right, this is where you are, any job." He said, "You're doing a job, say for £10 an hour." He said, "The plumber up the road's doing that same job for £35 an hour." Right? He said, "In 10 hours, you're earning £100. 10 hours is earning 350. He said, "So what you need to do is stop thinking I need any job." It's because if you're working like him for one day for 10 hours at £35 an hour, you've got to work 3.5 days to get what he got in one day. And that's one bit of advice I will give people. Because
That advice is time is money.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to work out. The other thing, you're bad for this, right?
Oh.
I'll tell you something you're really bad for, right? You would go to a job, won't you? Right? You start, and then you'll nip off to the merchants, right? How many times do you go to the merchants in a day?
You're always at merchants.
Yes. So what you should be doing is the night before
It's making the list.
having a list and saying, "Look, I need
Right,
this.
tomorrow
that,
I need to be
that."
doing this, yeah.
Or have a float in your van, yeah, and just replace that float, yeah.
Mm.
But we're all guilty of that. And what happens when you get to the merchants? You have a coffee, you have a yap, and you're there before you know it, 2 hours.
Yeah. Again, that boils
It's
down
planning.
to planning and organisation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, my advice is, like I say, get all that money up front sorted out before. So, even before you, if you're thinking about going self-employed, get that bit of capital behind you, so you can literally set up your business, have a float so you can cover yourself for at least 6 months. Yeah.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
if you want £500 a month, or a week, sorry, £500 a week, you've got to make sure you've got 6 months worth of that money for you, for your family, because it's not just you, is it?
No, it's
the
your family. Yeah, and that's the other thing. Not only do you have to have some capital, yeah, for your business, you've also got to have capital to pay the bills.
Yeah.
If you are the main breadwinner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. If you've got 2 working adults in the
It's a
household,
bit easier.
it's a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But even then, yeah,
Yeah.
again, it's planning and sort of like saying, okay, my wife earns so and so, yeah. I'm gonna end up concentrating on my business, yeah. So can my wife cover the bills on her, wages?
If you're not working.
If I'm not working or I haven't got work
Yeah,
for
yeah.
like 1 month, 2 months,
Yeah.
3 months,
And
while the business is getting up and
And
running.
the other thing is, you have to build that much money, so you're putting so much away for your holidays, yeah, because you don't get paid for holiday,
No.
right? So if you're going abroad for 3 weeks, for instance, you need to make sure that
That you're coming.
you're earning enough money to save a certain amount of money. Because I know loads of self-employed people who
You don't factor that.
don't save any money at all.
The thing is, it is hard.
It is
Yeah,
hard. It's,
right.
It's a hard thing.
It's. I don't think it's any different to somebody working for somebody. And having their. I think there's also a kind of like a very big misconception. In the sense that once you run your own business, it's all happy days.
No, it ain't.
Right?
When
I think that's what it's sold as,
When
isn't
I
it?
run my own business, there's some really stressful days.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, when that woman cleared off to Australia, I was still
Mhm.
left with a bill, for the merchants, right?
And
And I'd done a week's work in the house with no wage whatsoever. I had an apprentice as well, right? So I had to pay him still. I had to go to the merchants, and I didn't have no capital then. I had a little bit in the bank, but nothing what I needed. And I'll never forget it. I went to the merchants and I said, look, Roy, you probably remember Roy, I ain't gonna say what merchants it was. I said, Roy, I got a bit of a problem. Because what's up, mate? So I went in the office and I explained everything to him. And to be fair to Roy, he turned around to me and said, look, mate, he says, just get out there, carry on working. He said, and just pay me a minimum so much a month. If you can pay more, and I won't put,
Fantastic,
and
yeah.
he helped me out. I've got to give Roy his due there. He was really good to me. But if it wasn't for him, I reckon I'd have collapsed. Not collapsed personally, but I think I'd have had to fold my business up. Because I just didn't have that money. So you have, and another bit of advice I would give any, like, sole trader out there, do not be afraid to take someone to court. Do not be afraid. If someone's mugging you off for good work, take them to court, small claims court. I've done it. You've been. And they're not, one thing I will say about small claims court, if you've got a proper case there, this is why I say contracts, if you've got a contract, like the one I took to court, when it was over, I put full century, let me change that. He had a back boiler in, and if you're a plumber, you understand what I'm talking about now. And he wanted a combi boiler putting in. So I put the combi boiler in, and years ago, the easy way to explain this to people is, when you had a back boiler, you had what they call a heat leak, and it was one radiator in the house, what would come off that back boiler to keep the circulating heat going round.
Right.
And when we piped up this new boiler, I said to him, look, I said, if you don't re-pipe that, I said, it's not going to work. And he was the most arrogant bloke I've ever met. And he turned around to me and said, I'm telling you, I know where these pipes run, and that will get up. I said, look, man, if I have to fill this heating system up with chemicals, which we do to protect the system, I said, and put all the floorboards there and everything, and that does not get hot, I will be recharging you to do the extra work. And I will be going home tonight at 5 o'clock, like I said. And I mean, you know what I'm like, I'm a bit straight, and I will tell you as it is. And he assured me, and we filled the heating system, and guess what?
It didn't work.
It didn't work. So he goes, oh, I want it on, I want it be on Monday, wouldn't it? This is on Friday night. He goes, well, I want it done now, so it'll be on Monday. So he refused to pay me because of this. So I went and done it on the Monday. He was at work. Wife was a lovely woman. She couldn't apologise enough. And she made me breakfast. She was a smashing girl, she was. Anyway, cut long story short, I'd done it all. And I sent him an invoice, but I sent him extra for this job. So he turned around to me at the time. You didn't get none of it. And I said, why? He said, because I told you. And it was your mistake. So he wouldn't have it. Anyway, so cut long story short, I went home, and this was the first case I ever took to court. I got my contract out, what I wrote in. I got the invoice and all on there, every word for word, what boiler was going to be put in, how long it would take me. It was about what I even put in there about this. And we got to court, I'll never forget it. It's just round the table. And then there's a judge and someone else sitting next to him. He's sitting the opposite side. And the judge turned around to him and said, what's the problem? Well, he come to my house and he said this, and he's reading my contract, the judge. He put it in the contract. That's what the judge said. And he said to me, well, yeah, but he said, he charged me for coming. He said, well, he told you, so I'm sorry, you're going to have to pay him. So he had to write me a cheque there and then pay me. And I will say, if you're right, and you got, this is where I say a contract is so important, and that's something you need to do. I don't care how good people are.
And the other thing is, when you look at it, it's, any business and so on, any large business, the first thing they do is have a lawyer
Yeah, yeah.
or a law firm that kind of like does their contract for them, etc. And
Yeah,
so on.
definitely.
You know, and
As long as
you put everything down,
as long as you highlight, you're going to turn
every
up,
eventuality as well.
what you're going to put in there. If you come across and put in a clause, if I come across something that's not quoted for, it will be charged extra. Yeah.
100%.
And because a lot of these houses, I mean, you've probably come across this, where you're running central heating pipes across the landing, and you hit a metal RSJ. Because, especially in the south of Bretton, down there, they have metal RSJs across the landings, don't they? And I've never come across that before. So you can't run your pipe, you can't hammer them flat, can you? And run them across there.
No.
So
So you got to reroute.
Yeah, you got to reroute, and I didn't charge them a lot, but I just look, it's going to cost me longer. They agreed to that. You show them, they agreed to it. They didn't know it was there, and they understand that. But that's my thing is, make sure you're covered with all your money before you start. One thing is, if you just come out of college, I wouldn't recommend starting. I would not recommend going out on your own if you just come out of college, because you need to get experience. Because I used to teach at college, as you know. That's how we met, weren't it?
Yeah.
And then the scenarios at college are nothing like in a house. Could you imagine?
I think
It gives you that experience.
I think it's also, it depends. I think if you, because you're quite confident in yourself.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I think if you were kind of like going out literally straight from college sort of thing, yeah, you might have a little bit of nerves, but I think generally your character is quite confident in the sense that I'll give it a go. Yeah. But then there are others who need that kind of like coaching for another extra year or so, and possibly leave them on their own, but kind of like still be in the house in case anything goes wrong. That's the that's the problem. Because the thing is, you could be on your first job. If you're on your own, shit happens, and you got a massive leak, and the first thing you're doing is you're panicking.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't know what to do. Whereas somebody, on hand. Say, Bubba, cool as a cucumber, will turn around and say, not a problem, turn the valve off, right, we'll sort this out, etc. and so on. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
And the other thing is, I was talking about family. I had a spell down London, as you know. Yeah. I was working 7 days a week. And I was working 10 hours a day. Yeah. Some days. Right.
Yeah.
Had no life. Yeah.
They also need to be kind of like understanding that this is a business.
It's that understand, but then also, and I know, overwork causes you problems, yeah? It causes you fatigue, it causes you stress, unwanted stress, yeah? Irritable, don't it? You get all them with it. So what I would say is like, we always talking about this, don't we? Set yourself a time to start work and a cut-off time. And as you know, right, I would start work in the end about 8 o'clock. I wouldn't work past 4:30. I'd be clearing my tools up at 4 o'clock. Even if these people haven't got a bathroom finished, or if they haven't got a full central heat, I would leave them a little fan heater. Because and other plumbers will relate to this. Yeah, you rush around, you fill up at 4:30. When I say fill up, I mean fill the heating system up, and by crumbs you got a leak. Because all you did was rush to try and please the customer.
You're not confident, are you?
No, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know. Anything can happen.
You rush around, trying to please the customer, when realistically, if you turn around to that customer at 4 o'clock and said, look, I am virtually finished, but I'm not happy filling it up tonight in case you get a problem. Can you just bear me one night and I'll be back at 7 in the morning? Yeah? Most customers will say, oh, that's great. Yeah, they won't care.
Yeah, they know.
They know, and they don't care. So why put yourself in that instance where you're overworking and put yourself under that pressure? Yeah, that's one bit of advice I would give. And if you can, and the other thing is invoices, if you've got a partner, make her do the work. I mean, my ex-wife, waste of time, yeah? Really was. If she watches this, I don't really care. She was a waste of time. And she used to think that if there was £5,000 in the bank, that's for her to spend. Weren't realising
the business has got to tick
pay
over.
for merchant bills and things like that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So
Again, budgeting. So
Yeah, but
this comes into.
if you've got a good partner behind you, which you need a good partner behind you, let's be honest, yeah, because especially if you're doing call outs, right? Because that go off at midnight and after you going, isn't you? Don't ever say to any, because I said to some woman once, I went out and it was just tightening a nut up, she had a leak. Oh, what do I use for it? I said, oh, just get a drink, being nice and kindly, yeah, and I got £1. And I thought, it's my fault. I couldn't turn round to her and say,
when was that? 1946.
no, it was just before I packed up. And I went, and I thought, and I looked at this pen and went, oh, thank you. Yeah. And
Can't go back, can you?
I couldn't say anything, so I said to her, give me a drink. Yeah. So,
Well, she meant can of Coke.
Yeah.
That's
So-
what it meant.
after that day, I never ever said that.
Yeah.
I came to when they rung me up on emergency call out, but I stopped doing call outs because it was just a waste of time. If they rung me up, I used to say, it's a minimum call out charge, and then every hour for the first hour, after that, it costs you this, or whatever. So I would normally make safe and then go back the next day, so they only have the one call out charge. But yeah, so get your books set up, get your money running correctly, don't overwork yourself, give yourself set hours, in my point of view. Stop and have your dinner, yeah, always have your dinner, don't work for your dinner hour, yeah, you need a break, as simple as that. Yeah, have family time, and when I say that, I mean start 7, finish at 4, or start 7, finish at 5, but don't be here working like I've done sometimes till 9, 10, 11 at night, because the truth is, your customers don't want you there that time of night.
Yeah.
To be honest, they don't.
I think the next question that people probably wonder is how do you get clients? Yeah.
Right.
So now I would say in this day and age, everything is social media and digital marketing.
Facebook, I would say definitely have a Facebook page. I would say definitely have an Instagram page with all your work on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd also say that email, don't have a Google email, don't have your ordinary Yahoo.com. Invest in a proper email. Yeah?
Right.
When I say a proper email, .co.uk, like joeblogsplumbingeating.co.uk.
Right.
I'd definitely invest in that. I would sign writing on my van got me a lot of work.
Yeah,
I'll be
yeah.
honest with you. That was one of the best investments I had. I could guarantee I could get a lot of work off my van, to be honest. And you'd get phone calls out of the blue and because they've seen you in a traffic jam.
100%, yeah.
So I would recommend sign writing on your van. Word of mouth, and also have business cards. Do not go out without a business card in your wallet. Yeah, wherever you are. Because when you have a business card, it means a lot to people, don't it?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
And
the old ways are still the best ways.
I think so. I don't honestly believe you need a website unless you're really big. I don't honestly think you do need one. Because you can link it, but I think with social media,
I think with Instagram, I think that almost is your kind of like
if you've
website.
You can do a Facebook page, which is normally the forefront of it.
TikTok is very good, and people say.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, the other thing is, again, this is another cost. This is another cost, but you could possibly give it to a company, to do all of that.
That line personally. I've never done that.
But what I'm saying is, it's a cost but initially you wouldn't want to do that.
But then but then when you've got to look at it right, these companies who search for work for you,
these agencies,
it ain't work you want. I'll tell you now, it is not work you would want. Yeah, because they're taking a cut out of it, right? And I guarantee you, the work is not the sort of work you want to get into.
It's more for the people who have got a lot of
engineers. They need them fulfilling their duties. When I worked in London, that was jobbing work, and it is work.
For the one-man band, it's
not worth doing it. And I would not. That's my opinion. I would not go down that route.
Okay, what if you're not very good with your Facebook, your Insta, and so on? Would you get somebody possibly who is good with it? This is what I'm trying to say.
It's going to be a friend or a family member who can do that. It's not hard, is it? So there's always going to be someone who can do that. And if you have got a Facebook page, put it on your van. Yeah? Instagram, Facebook, put it on your van. And I ain't on about putting massive letters all over your van. You just need plumbing so-and-so and a phone number And roughly we are, because the amount of times I've been working, and you look at a van and you think from from Paul, this is like Cambridgeshire. Do you know what I mean? People
Yeah,
ain't going to ring you.
yeah.
They're not going to ring you. Yeah. So you need to know where you are. And one thing you did say, one thing I did notice with plumbing, you don't often work in your own area, do you? You do, but not. It would be most of the work always was out of town, wasn't it?
I mean, my work mostly did tend to be in.
So how do you get your work?
My work was always word of mouth.
Yeah, same as me.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I never advertised.
No, I only advertised I did. Mostly was on my.
And I haven't even got my van written.
No, you haven't. No, it's just
No,
great,
and everything is still word of mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you've got to take care of your work and your pride in your work. And once that,
I think respect to the customers as well.
yeah,
You're always going to have, and you'll come across it. You're always going to have a customer you could paint their floor with gold, but it won't be right. You're always going to have that. Yeah. You are always going to come across it. One out of every 20 people is going to be what I call
what an arsehole.
an arsehole. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? There's always going to be one, and
It's
you
part
think,
of life.
and you think in the back of your brain, what cogs are you on? Do you know what I mean? And unfortunately, that's working with the public. And if you ask my wife, she works in a coffee shop, a supervisor, they get them all the time. Yeah, people just want to moan about anything, a bit like me. Yeah.
I think what it is either they're having a bad day or they're just generally in a negative mood.
Mm. Yeah, that. But that's my own opinion, and it's my main thing would be is like take care of yourself, don't overstress yourself, don't overwork. And I ain't saying go to work twice a day, right? That's unrealistic. Yeah.
I think the other thing is, you've got to ask the question, why do you want to do it?
A lot of people like me and you find it very hard to work for someone else.
Yeah, and I think people like that freedom of choice.
Yes.
To sort of like say, I'm not working today
Yeah.
because I need to do this, or I need to leave early because I've got this appointment, or I need to leave early because it's my kids' sports day, or
want to
whatever.
go on holiday, you work for a company. Can I have next month a couple of weeks off? No, there's somebody else off. You can't have it. And you used to get that a lot, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I bet a lot of people do. You think, I want to go on holiday, but you can't because so and so. But when you're self-employed, I'm going on holiday. I'll book you in when I come back, innit?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But like I said, there are pros and cons to everything. Working for somebody, you just have not got the same stresses.
No.
Yeah, you go and get up, go to work, and then come back, and that's it. You leave that behind.
Yeah.
You are not worrying about where is my next job is going to be.
Pay YE.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah. Right. So your taxes paid. No.
No
self-assessment. No accounting. Nothing.
No.
Yeah. You just go, do your work. You come home. You don't bring your stress with you. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
So there is a lot to be said.
Your weekend is your weekend.
Your weekend is your weekend.
But at weekends, as you know, and I know, you either got a job you're finishing off, or
you work, or
you do the paperwork.
Yeah. So there are pros and cons to running your own business.
Yeah.
And like I said, it all depends on what you want out of it. Yeah.
But I will say, if you've got a family, in my opinion, and I didn't get enough time with my family when I was self-employed plumbing. To be fair, I was in the first few years, I was literally out till 9 at night working. Me and my mate Gavin, we would literally put heating systems in, changing a boiler in a day. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And we used to be working. Yeah, it was good money. But by Christ, you needed that weekend to relax.
Right, okay. Another question, right? Let's go down this route in the sense that, do you think, all of this social media and everything, become, millionaire this, millionaire that, by doing this, are people getting sucked in?
Yeah, 100%. Not going to name the bloke, yeah, but you know, you can tell straight away. A certain plumber, been on TV, yeah. Everything he teaches, you can get offline. I've been on seminars. I've been on rich schemes, yeah. I've been on internet courses and everything else like that. And everything that man teaches you about running electricians, plumbers, be wealthy millionaire and all this, you can learn yourself offline. It's all it is basically marketing. And he's doing a very good job of marketing off the back of what he was on, yeah. But when it comes to what he's teaching you, truthfully, it's just
everything is available for free.
Yeah.
I think again, this is the thing, isn't it? You know, a lot of people maybe don't want to, maybe kind of like want to be spoon fed, throughout the journey.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think, like I said, there are different types of people. Everybody is different. Yeah. You're gonna get, you know, let's say you go to a seminar. Who is teaching you to do all of this courses, etc., and so on, to run a business, etc. And then what happens is they give you that blueprint. There's going to be, out of that 1,000 or 500 people,
probably
two or three, who have got that initiative, in them. They've got that drive, that entrepreneurship, and that's what I think separates a lot of people who make it from the 500 to 1,000 or whatever. A bit like Premiership footballers, you know. There's like thousands of kids, only one out of 1,000 or so will probably ever make it, and it's the same thing. It's that drive and initiative and so on that take it really in and push themselves all the way through.
I think and all, when people get sucked into this, what we're talking about, like quick fix, I can make you a millionaire plumber and all this, they need to do research, because if you dive into certain people, and he's not the only one, there's quite a few out there, dive into these people and do proper research, Companies House or whatever, go Companies House, have a look at their past history, go to their, because certain person we've been talking about, right, says that he went and got a job with this plumber and didn't work for no money. He wasn't even paid. Now, I know 100% that's a lie. So I'll tell you why.
Because you know.
No, because when you go to college, because I was at college when I was a lecturer,
right.
When you go to college, they have to pay you to get the apprenticeship. So that was a blatant lie to make people believe that, I've done this and I've done that. I knew because I used to have to be out on site and check their work. And his boss doesn't deserve what has been said, to be fair.
Right.
Because his boss paid him.
Yeah.
And if someone's lying like that at the beginning, in my opinion, what else they're lying about? Right?
Yeah.
I know that a lot of what was said was just BS. Right. And it's nothing to do with envious or jealousy, and it's nothing to do with that at all. It annoys me that people make money on, say, someone who thinks, if I follow him, I can be the same. But like I'm saying to you, you only got to do what we said, advertise, because there's someone who's going to tell you, it's a funnel system for instance. Yeah. Or get their email, then send them a feeder across, no, we can do this, we can do that. That's all it's about. The funnel system.
And I think this is what we're trying to say in terms of, like, you know, the digital marketing side. You know, if you are going to end up wanting to sort of like grow your business very rapidly, if you have got the money to do it, you can get an agency or something to sort of like, if you've got the money to throw at it.
But let's look at it this way, right? I'm just fitted, right, a boiler for someone, I know within 12 months that will need a service, right? I get their email, no difference, this isn't to what Starbucks do, what Greggs do, right? You go and order a coffee, right, at the drive-thru at Starbucks, right? You say, can I have a macchiato, right, whatever, What's she say to you?
Is there anything else you would like?
Would you like a donut with that, sir? Or upselling. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you've got their email, right, you can send them an email, right, just before that boiler's due for a service, reminding them they got a service coming up. And also, did you know we fit new bathrooms and all that? Yeah, you can upsell, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
And,
if
you know, you can also like
and you can, and if you're not good on computers, things like Mailchimp, yeah, it's not that expensive,
No.
right? That's a good program, Mailchimp. That will automatically send you autoresponders, right? And it will do it on a certain date. So if you'll put a boiler in, say 8th of January, you can automatically set that. So the 5th of January, hi, so and so plumbing, hope you're all well, yeah, and your boiler's due for service. Would you please like to come? That's automatically done for you. You're not even got to worry about
Yeah.
that. And not only that, like when someone's had a boiler put in, you can. There's so many other things you can do. Yeah, like have you send them a nice little, put them on a newsletter or something, right? Oh, have you seen this new control? You can control it like Hive from your phone. You know, people like that sort of technology. Or if there's something where you can, there's so many things with upselling in any trade. It doesn't have to be plumbing. If you're a mechanic, for instance, right? You'll change somebody's tyres or whatever. Hi, you've done so many thousand miles. We've got a special offer on today on exhaust and all that.
Yeah.
Upselling is the main key, I would say. And that's all these people are telling you to do. If you look at it as a funnel, you're getting them people in a funnel and you want to keep them in that funnel.
Yeah.
That's all you're doing.
And you're just selling them more and more and
Yeah.
more and more and more.
Yeah.
You know, and what these guys end up
Or
doing.
send them an email, for instance, like, hi, I hope you're happy with your boiler and all this, yeah? And you'll be doing a cover for them anyway for a year. If you recommend me to your family and friends, we'll give you a
Extra
£50
£50.
Amazon voucher.
Yeah.
Anything. And to be honest, if you can't afford to give away 50 quid, you're in the wrong trade, let's be honest, yeah?
Yeah, because for that 50 quid, you've not only added it into your next job.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. You've, like I said, I mean, your next job could be 1,000, 1,500 quid or whatever. Yeah.
And the way it goes as well, like, this is all they're telling you to do. It's number game, isn't it? If you've got 1,000 boilers you'll put in over a year, say, right? Which is possible, right? Then the next year you're going to get another 1,000, right? This is how you build your business then, because not only you installed that 1,000, once you've done that for 3 years, right? As long as you keep these clients happy, because that's the main thing.
Yeah.
Keep them happy. Then they're going to keep rolling over, and you're still going to add to them people as well. And that's how people get big.
And boilers are a life. You know,
Yeah.
they have a lifespan. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know, as long as you've been constantly, you know, in touch with them,
Yeah.
doing their servicing, etc., and so on, that boiler in 6 years' time, yeah, will come back to you.
And it's the same mechanics,
And-
MOTs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all about.
And the
Give me
next year
example.
will be 10 years what you've done before, etc., and
Yeah.
so on. It's just a repeat.
And
It's a
that's how
repeat
you
cycle.
get more staff to work for you. That's how you expand your business. And do not waste your money. I'm telling you now. Do not waste your money on going on some crappy course. And that's how I'm going to put it. You may agree, you may disagree.
No.
But do not waste your money on some crappy course of some false claims he's going to make you a millionaire because I've been on TV or I've done this. Because if you read more into it and do a bit of research, you'll see that there's a bit of
I think what we'll do is, I think our next topic is going to be self-help, I would say.
yeah,
Would you not say?
I would say so. Yeah,
Yeah? All of these, what can I say?
scams.
I don't know. Well, some people will totally and utterly believe them.
Yeah,
Yeah? Okay. But again, we'll go down this road
Mm.
where everything is available to you for free
if you search for it,
if you search.
and it's not hard.
And it's not hard, no.
No,
Not at all.
instead of wasting money and paying for stuff where it's actually at your fingertips.
That's the beauty of the
The
internet.
internet.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You know, you can...
The only advice I can give on that is when you see, and the old saying, isn't it? If it's too good to be true, it normally is,
Yeah.
and it's true, isn't it?
Yeah. I think what it, again, like I said, with
There's
a lot of
genuine
people...
people out there,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
I'm not saying
And they
Right.
get they get. Do we want to call it a scam? Yes and no. But the thing is, you're being scammed.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but you just don't really.
No.
You know you're being scammed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think you want to believe it.
No.
How could that happen to me? I think that's a lot of it. Is it the old pride thing? I don't know.
I don't know.
I think, to be honest, we've all been there in some way or another.
I think what it is again, we'll talk. I think we can go down this road, but I think, like I said, we're digressing again.
Yeah, well, we'll keep that till next time. But like I say, if you're going to start your own business up, have a plan in place.
Correct.
Don't waste money on.
And get yourself in order.
Yeah.
Yeah. Order is the most important
And
thing.
that's experience from us.
Yeah.
Because we was bad at that, weren't we?
Yeah.
And I will be 100%. We was bad at that. Because when I first started, like you, I just thought, oh, get the work in, and you get the work in, but you're too tired, or you're too rushed, and you just keep chucking your paperwork.
It's management of time. Yeah. And again, it is a difficult thing. I think the other thing is get up early. Spend maybe 1 hour doing your paperwork, etc., and so on. And 1 hour in the evening, 1 hour in the morning. And don't waste too much time. Don't sort of like say the next day, oh, I'm not going to do it. Then you got 2 hours the next day.
Quotes, right? Before we go on now.
Oh.
Quoting, right? Now, we're totally different on this, aren't we? Yeah? When I quoted for someone, I used to charge them £10.
Right, okay.
Right? And people, well, so-and-so's not charging me, but I used to say to them, I'd charge you £10, but you'll get it back if I get the job. I didn't get the job, I didn't go out there for nothing, because and I know, right, you can do a full day's work, and then you got to go and quote a couple of jobs, right? And then you maybe 2-3 hours, yeah, because you're there measuring up, you're there doing, especially with heating, you're measuring up and work, and it don't end there, because when you come home, you got to work out the heat sizes for the radiators, you got to work out your pipe size, if you're doing it properly, yeah, your kilowatt for your boiler, it doesn't end there, but a lot of people put it in the price, but my argument is, if I'm only going there for that person, right? All right, I'm going there to earn a living, but it isn't for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm going there for that person. So I used to only a £10, yeah, and it wasn't a lot, and the good customers didn't argue about that.
No, again, look, everybody knows time is money.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you go to, let's say, work in a factory. Yeah. Okay. You work
when you clock on,
or when you clock on, and when you clock off, you're getting paid.
Yeah.
Right. So it is no different to you being self-employed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is what you got to look at.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, do not undervalue yourself.
Yeah. That is one thing I think. Yeah.
Yeah. That's one thing I still do.
Yeah, you do.
Right. Yeah. You always end up undercharging because you're too nice.
Typical thing on a call out before we go. So I've got this. I went out to this. I think it's a Balance Unvented cylinder, right? I think I've told you about this before. And it was like 11 o'clock at night. Yeah, just woke up, gone out there. She's moaning because she ain't got no hot water, and the heating weren't working properly. And I went round. I had my big Stilton in my hand, and I clattered this valve, and you could hear the water go through the system. Yeah, and her husband stood there.
And
she stood there, right? And I'd charged them a call out fee, yeah. And I was no more than 2 minutes in this house, right? And she goes, oh, the radio's getting up now, and yeah, to her husband, oh, that's great, yeah. Oh, just to know, yes, I said, yes, darling, I said, me call out charge. But you only hit a nut. And I turned to her, I said to her, I turned around and I said, but I knew which nut to hit, didn't I? And her husband just burst out laughing. And he said, can't argue with that, can I?
No.
Yeah,
no, and that's what you get paid for.
And that's what I did, and I said
your
to them,
experience.
Yeah, and knowledge. And I said to them, I'll come back. I said, now you're all hating it, and in a week's time, and change that valve for you. I said, but now if you don't touch it, it'll be fine. Or if it happens again, just give it a clap. And they was happy with that. They understood, and they actually laughed when I went out. And they were more laughing at what I said, yeah, because they just weren't expecting me to say that. But at the start, all she could see was, oh, bloody plumber, come here. All he'd done was hit that nut, and he's charged me like, well, I ain't going to say what my call-out charge was, but that was basically, what you got to realise as well with plumbers and any other trade, mechanics, carpenters, whatever you are, you went to college to learn a trade. You as an apprentice, like me at the time, £100 a week I was on, yeah? And I was married at the time, and I was doing other jobs at weekends, at nights to keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah? I didn't do all that for someone, give someone a job for nothing.
Yeah.
That's what they're paying for. My years of being an apprentice, 4 years, yeah, being an apprentice, and all the courses and everything I went through to get that qualification, they're paying for that. They're not paying for the service as such. They're paying for what they're getting in knowledge, respective knowledge.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of, you know, the internet is now kind of like monetizing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But what we are trying to say is that all of this information that you are wanting is available out there. So if you want to set up your business, etc., and so on, not a problem.
Get in touch with us. If you're not sure about something, we will give you any knowledge we got, won't we?
Yeah.
And we do.
Pitfalls, any little mistakes that, we've
you got a
made
heating
along the way.
issue or whatever, give us a better word, tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah? Anything. Like I say, don't go and, like I say, I wouldn't say upset, it frustrates me. Yeah, everybody's out there to make money, don't get me wrong. But it frustrates me when I see these people making out they've done stuff they're not done, and everything they're giving you is literally a fingertip away.
Yeah.
That is it. But I'll say, that's all I will say about running your own business, is make sure you want to do it. And it is a great way of earning a living. I will say that, yeah. If you want to work for yourself, be your own boss, but be headstrong, set your boundaries basically, and make sure if you're married with kids that you set time aside for them as well.
You got to be disciplined.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And that's basically it, in my opinion.
100%. 100%.
Well, I'm going to say bye for now.
That's bye from me.
I will be going away, not to any mental home, by the way, but I will be going away for 2 days, and I'll probably talk to you on Zoom, yeah, while I'm down there.
Yeah, no worries.
But I'm going in the ED tonight, yeah, quickly. So that'll be a video coming up shortly. I'm going from Cambridgeshire to Newquay, so I will break down all the costs, yeah, how much it's cost me from leaving my house, how much it cost me to charge up that night, all the way down there. I'll be coming back to Torquay. I'll be having a couple of nights there as well, and I'll be coming home. So I'll be doing all that trip. There's me, the wife, and the dog.
Oh yeah.
I'm taking the dog.
About the little one.
Yeah. So that'll be, I'll give a little chat on Zoom. We'll do the screen thing to see how I got on getting down there one night while I'm down there, and that can be another video. But we will be doing a video next on what we're going to be doing. Did we
self-help?
Yeah, self-help. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good night from me, or whatever it
it's
is,
good
where
night
you
from me.
are, and see you soon.
See you next week.